Welcome everyone to Grace Hill's first COVID-19 open house. We are here to kind of discuss with several of our program managers and leadership staff how Grace Hill has adapted or pivoted to this COVID-19 world and how our programs are still functioning and how you can get involved. So I'd like to start with Alice Herndon, who's the director of the Women's Business Center. Alice, how are you doing this morning?
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me on to participate today. Doing very well, thank you. How about yourself, Robbie?
Pretty good.
Good.
So how exactly has the stay-at-home order and the closure of all physical interaction affected the Women's Business Center's programs?
So the Women's Business Center is just that, a business center, and we seek to pivot very quickly when we see changes that are happening in our external environment. And so what that means is, as we started looking at the COVID-19 challenges as of March 6th, we began to build out some of the things that we might do. Part of that meant utilizing our Zoom features more to our advantage, as well as moving our face-to-face classes to an online component. And so basically, even our business development class with workshop and business opportunity, we migrated very rapidly to an online face-to-face option. It was something that we've been wanting to do, and we wanted to explore what it might look like. And so here we are forced into that. So we've been using Zoom for a while, and it has worked very well for us.
That's great. If someone is considering getting involved right now with the WBC because their circumstances have changed or they don't have anything else to do, they might as well learn something new. How can they engage with your services now?
So you can still engage with us by going to our social media page. So we have a presence on Facebook. We also have a presence on Instagram, and we're beginning to build out our LinkedIn components as well. And so you can still contact us, our emails. You're going to get a real person when you call the office. And so our phones are forwarded to our team members, and we're responding very rapidly via emails every single day. And so you can still connect with us. There are webinars that we have now placed into our calendar. So you can go to our website, which is gracehillwbc.org. Again, it's gracehillwbc.org. And you can also go to our social media page, which is Grace Hill Women's Business Center. And we can still interact with you, and we will respond to you very rapidly.
Okay. Is there anything else you'd like our clients or our audience to know about the Grace Hill WBC and what's going on right now? Or?
Well, I will say my pot is always cooking. And one of the things that we are working on, we're looking at doing some COVID-related topics that will support our small business owners. So how do you interact with your clientele? How do you offer customer service to your clientele? How do you deal now with social distancing, which will become a new operational aspect of how we interact and interface with our participants and clients and personnel? So those are things that we are seeking to explore as well as roll out, so that way we can continue to support small business owners. That may include purchasing masks that we can support small business owners with. So every topic that's COVID related that you participate in, we forward out 5 masks for you that you can continue to support your staff, because we do know that resources are limited for our small business owners. And if we can be of assistance and a resource component to support them, that's something that we're seeking to do.
Great. All right, I'd like to change gears. Chris Crenshaw is the Director of External Partnerships here at Grace Hill. And one of the programs that she spearheads is our Community School Partnership. Chris, why don't you tell us a little bit about where Community School Partnership was headed right before COVID-19 kind of hit?
Hello, everybody. So I'm gonna move locations for just a moment, just because I'm in shared space at home. So it's kind of background noise. So I'm gonna try to eliminate the background noise here. So give me just a hot second. I'm sorry.
All right.
We're gonna take a walk to nature real quick.
Field trip.
Field trip. That's it. That's what we're used to in CSP. Hold on one second. Okay, here we go. So we outdoors right now. A little bit about CSP. We are in the process, we were in the process of expanding when we actually got kind of thrown into this pandemic and had to respond accordingly. To be honest, we were moving into 4 new schools. And the week that they actually did our stay in place shelter, the following week we were bringing in 8 new team members. So Zoom had to become the way that we trained, onboarded, prepared, and even encouraged our team to be in a place to work from a more creative standpoint. And so what that looked like is our team actually just ended up reaching out to families, because we knew this was going to be a time we would probably be more in a space of need, with a lot of our families losing hours from jobs, becoming underemployed, or some became, unemployed. Some actually have been essential workers but did not have daycare or have school for their children. So these were kind of the realities from where many of our families sat. And it meant that our team was going to be more in place to kind of support. And so what our team did, after we did a quick 1-week onboarding, which normally takes about 2 weeks, but we had to go 1 week, same as cash, and get people on the scenes. But all of them are very skilled and talented and come from a well-experienced background, either in social services or education. And so they were able to pick the ball up and roll it literally. And so we have had them reaching out to families. We've been reaching out in the course of the 3 schools we were already in, and now 4 more schools, over 778 families, to try to help them understand about the resources in their community, helping to lead to websites on COVID-19 to know appropriate ways to keep themselves safe, and to help them be in a space of knowing how to even talk with their students or their children about what's going on, and to empower them to know the importance of staying in shelter in place, and how they could get technology, because the district had to order technology and switch all classes from a in-classroom format to an online, basically, or e-learning, or distant learning as they call it, format. And that meant getting families, a lot who did not have technology, actual iPads and hotspots to be able to have their child log on for e-learning. So that has been our journey the last couple or few weeks, of really trying to help inspire families, making sure they were connected to the resources in the community, helping onboard with technology, even making some stops to homes and dropping off on doorsteps, food for families that did not have transportation or ability to get to the sites that we gave out, or SLPS's site, to get food. We made sure that families were not without food. Some families that we had that actually became homeless or in transition during that point, helping them to find shelter, which was really difficult because a lot of shelters were not accepting families because of COVID-19. So that was a difficult area to navigate, but we also found a way, or made one, to try to work with a lot of local churches in the area to get people in place, or with hotels that would still accept families, to ensure that no one was hopefully out there and on the street or in a car trying to live. So that's what we've been up to at CSP.
So how has that changed? How is that different from the norm for you? I mean, I guess tell our audience a little bit about what the CSP is designed to look like, so that they can see just how much you've adapted.
Yeah. So it's designed to work in the school, right? And it's the bigger piece is the student and family mentor is to provide mentorship and encouragement to families and children in a two-generational approach, right? So we're working at both at the same time. A lot of our staff members are typically that work in the school either service the children or they work with the families or they work with the children through the families, you know, but mostly not at the same time. And our program is more set up to not only support children, but also to support families. So if they become unemployed or they're having, you know, thoughts of going back to school or they're trying to increase income and to stabilize a family to ensure that a child and that family are able to come to school every day and that child's able to attend because they're stable in their home. Our program's kind of set up to work with families and children together in the school setting. And how they work with students a lot of times is we create a lot of campaigns and incentives to inspire students to want to come to school every day. We try to do things to inspire students to want to participate academically. We work to try to connect students to resources along with the social worker and the counselor in the school to help with mental health and wellness. So our program is kind of multifaceted and you know, our two mentors that are typically in the school work very closely with close to 45 to 50 families apiece to ensure that those families are supported and encouraged through the process of ensuring that their children have what they need to succeed academically. And so the flipping it is now they're not in a school. We are now making phone calls and working virtually with other agencies, reaching out to them to partner to ensure that needs are met for our families, reaching out with families more regularly. Because most of the time when we reached out with the family, it was typically because a student may not be attending school or a family may be in crisis or a family may have a specific goal or need that they wanted to meet that they set up through an assessment with our families, but with our mentors. But now what you're seeing is they're reaching out more often to see how families are coping through COVID-19 and how they are doing with e-learning and how things are going for them to be in a space of you know, like support during this area and that they're not alone and to know that along with the teachers that are calling, along with the counselors and the social worker and the principal that may be reaching out, there is also a community agency out here pulling for you and supporting you in the process as well. And so we all work collaboratively together to support the family so they're not disconnected from the learning experience with their children and that they are also, you know, connected to the resources they need to stay stable.
Well, thanks, Chris. Before I let you go, is there anything you'd like to tell our audience about, maybe brag about how the work your mentors are doing, or?
Well, you know, I think they are, you know, off the chain to me. I mean, just awesome. They go above and beyond. You find them willing to put themselves in an essential space, which means that if they know a family does not have food or does not have you know, like the student does not have the essential needs they have to do their homework at home, they're willing to go put on their mask, their what they need and that family what they need to be in a space of being okay, you know, and then being able to connect them. And so I think that's a big piece. And then May 7th, I think Jeff is probably going to talk a little bit about that, how they also plan to be a part of our agency working to support the community through a collaboration with the food bank as well as Connections to Success to offer food to the community. And so even them wanting to participate in that as well, I just think they don't mind doing whatever it takes is find a way or make one and to ensure that students and their families' needs are met, even with a crisis like a pandemic going on. So we adapt, we move forward, and I think that's one of our caveats in the school system, and that's the plus.
Thanks, Chris.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
And Chris alluded to Jeff. Jeff Hendred is, well, he wears a number of hats here at Grace Hill, but Jeff is also our point person for our material assistance programs. Jeff, tell us a little bit about how material assistance has kind of evolved during the COVID crisis.
Yeah, good morning. Chris, it's great to go right after Chris because I work really close with a lot of the mentors in the school and mentors in the Head Start program too. So typically our teams are, like Chris said, in person, having contact with families and talking to them about goals and barriers to those goals. And oftentimes money can be a challenge. If job or employment shifting, that can be a hindrance to someone reaching a goal. If their utilities or rent is unstable or having high bills. So I often partner with those staff to find what families may right on the edge of being in need, or that's just the block in front of their goal, and how can we kind of release some of that utility, the bills, or bring financial and home stability to families. So that is still going on, and I would say increasing in some ways because of COVID. A lot of families are experiencing change in income, and our team is just doing a great job at being right there alongside of them to let them know we're here and that we want to support them how we can. So we've been connecting with many families that are already involved in our programs, letting them know that we want to help stabilize their housing before they get into a situation where they have debt. So we've been able to pay some utility bills that families would have been unable to pay due to their income changing. We've been able to reach out to some landlords and pay with portions of rent to help stabilize housing. And I think that's just really showing the community that we're still there. It's a really tangible way that even if I didn't see this person face to face, I'm getting phone calls from the mentor staff once a week or more. I know that they have a good relationship with my landlord. They have a good relationship with utility provider. And I think it just feels like a blanket of security around the families we're serving, and letting them know that we're thinking ahead and wanting to make sure that that's one less thing they have to be thinking about in the day to day. So we've been able to provide a little over $3,000 in assistance to families already in April. So it's been awesome to be able to do that.
That's great, Jeff. I know that you've also got a number of other events cooking up. Why don't you tell us about May 7th?
Yeah, May 7th, we have a great opportunity. We're partnering with Connections to Success and the St. Louis Area Food Bank to offer a mobile food drive in the College Hill neighborhood. Connections to Success has been doing a lot of food drives throughout St. Louis County and parts of the city. And we've had a great relationship with them, serving residents in the city. And they reached out to us saying, hey, we would love to make sure our neighbors and families in the College Hill and city area are getting enough access to food. And right away, we're like, yeah, let's do this. Let's partner together. And we're able to do that on May 7th. It's going to be the first Thursday in May. We're also in talks with several other partners in the community. Just want to make sure that families are having access to other resources they need as well. Not just food, but if kids need access to school supplies at home, diapers, things like that. So we are excited to partner with more groups during this food drive and hopefully future ones too.
And if someone watching needs some help right now, how could they connect with us?
Yeah, if they were to call our main office or my phone number, they would get directed to me, and I would just do a brief intake assessment with them, or our mentors would, just to learn more what's some of the pressing needs they have now and some goals that they have. So we want to make sure we're not just assisting the need, but we want to set people up to reach those future goals they have too. So I think on our website, you may be able to see my phone number and email. I'll give you my email. It's jhendred, HENDRED at gracehillsettlement.org. So yeah, they can just get in contact with me.
Perfect. And Jeff, before I let you go, I also wanted to have Karen on originally, but I think she had to go put out a fire over at Patch.
Okay.
You're telling our audience a little bit about the Patch Food Pantry and how they've been doing.
Yeah, so throughout the year, we operate a food pantry in South City, St. Louis, in the Patch neighborhood, and it serves seniors, parents, anyone who is in need of assistance, really. And I think at the beginning of the pandemic, we really saw an increase in families coming to the pantry as those were changes happening almost daily to people's routine and everyone trying to adjust to a new sense of normal. I think having the Patch Food Center there was really important because we already have a long history in the community and people know that we're there to support. And so I think although a lot of other things were changing, they knew Grace Hill is still consistent and ready to serve. And Karen has done a great job of adapting with staff and with volunteers as their availability changes to make sure we're still getting food to the community. So she's done a great job.
Okay, Karen, can you hear us? Are you still with us? Karen?
I'm here.
Oh, okay. Well, great. I thought you had left. Karen, if you wouldn't mind filling our audience in, tell us a little bit about how the food pantry is going right now.
The food pantry is still going strong in this time of the crisis. We only changed our hours. We only distribute food now on Wednesday and Friday from 10 to 12:30. We had to rearrange some things where, like, today is Monday. We came in and assessed what we actually have and began packing bags so that to stay within the guidelines of the CDC, we don't let people into the building. We use our double doors. One person comes in that door. We get their name. We find out what they would like, if they're doing produce, which is just vegetables, or if they're getting a food order because we have them down monthly to get a food order. They wait, their food is prepared for them, and we give them their items. We have masks, we have gloves, we have 2 staff people, myself and Sabrina McAfee. We are working the food pantry, which is unusual because we're used to having our volunteers, but for their safety, they are no longer here with us. So I have learned how to look at the produce and look at the items to make sure everything is okay. Myself and Sabrina to pack to make sure there are no expiration dates to give to the consumers in the neighborhood. So that's the piece that we're missing. We're missing our volunteers, but the show must go on, and we continue to provide our neighbors with what they need during the crisis.
That's great. And thank you, Karen. I know you're missing your volunteers, and we are all grateful for the volunteers that come in and make Patch such a great place. If someone needs help from the Patch Center, how can they get connected to the food pantry? Should they just show up, or should they call first?
Well, they probably should call. They should call our community room, which is 314-584-6964. They can leave a message if no one picks up, because a lot of times we're not people who sit at our desk. We're always moving around, but we will call you back. There is a zip code requirement. It is 63111. But 63111 is such a large area, we have to cut it off at some point. You could tell us your address and your income if you're trying to get or in need of a food order. But everyone is welcome to come down and get produce. We get produce from our neighborhood Aldi's on a daily basis. So we have fruits and vegetables daily, and we put those in the bags that we give to the people on Wednesday and Friday. If you're getting a food order, that means it's actually like you're out doing your own shopping, but we are your personal shopper, so we pack your bags for you. So that's where we are with that.
Well, thank you so much, Karen and Alice and Chris and Jeff. Thank you all for joining us today. Again, Facebook, stay tuned to Grace Hill. We are still open and conducting business as always, and always here to help. So please keep those lines of communications open and stay tuned for our next update. Thanks, everyone.